Well, good afternoon, students. Welcome to part 2 of our series, Posers, Fakers, and Makers. Today we're going to talk about fakers. Yesterday we talked about posers, these people who they want people to see their outward works, but they're so far from God. And today it's kind of a similar thing, but we're going to talk about this idea of being a faker. Now, again, I've been doing Google. I mean, everybody knows Google's right? I Googled the word faker to see kind of what the definition would be, and of course the root word is fake, which says one who fakes, a charlatan, a fake, a fraud, an imposter, a pretender. Now, think back of all the things. I don't know if you've ever done this. I don't think I have. It would probably been a great idea. But have you ever taken play money or like copies of play money that you can find at the dollar store? I mean, some of it looks pretty legit. And have you ever taken the play money and take it to the store and try to buy something with it? If so, how did that work out for you? One, if you had the courage to do it, they probably looked at you like you're crazy, said, this isn't going to work, right? Now, we know that there are, I guess, professional con artists and thieves who copy money and make dollar bills that look identical to the real thing, and they've actually gotten by maybe with it, which is highly illegal. And but it's still, regardless, it's a fake. It's not the real thing. And Jesus talks about some people who are fakes, that they're not the real deal. They're not Christ followers. They are not honoring God, but instead they're far from the opposite. So we're going to look just briefly at two passages of Scripture where Jesus once again continues talking to the crowds and the people and his disciples, and it's found in Matthew chapter 7 verses 15 through 23. And so we're going to break it down. This first part, he's talking about false prophets, and he's telling the Christian believers and those who are following him to beware of these people. And this is what he says. He says, beware of the false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will recognize them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? So every healthy tree bears good fruit, but the diseased tree bears bad fruit. A healthy tree cannot produce good fruit. Let me back up. A healthy tree cannot produce bad fruit, nor can a diseased tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus you will recognize them by their fruits. So Jesus is talking. He's phenomenal at taking everyday concepts and proving a point. So here he is talking to these people, and he's saying, take a look at the grapevine. I don't know if you've ever picked a grapevine. My granddad had these grapevines in his garden, and I think it's about this time of year, maybe a little later on, that you could pull these grapes off the vine and eat them. Now, when I would pull those grapes off, I never found myself having to watch out for thorns like on a blackberry bush, right? And Jesus says a grapevine doesn't produce thorns. A fig tree doesn't produce thistles, these things that could poke you and hurt you. He says a good tree will produce good fruit. A diseased tree, one that is rotting out, not producing, won't produce anything. And he compares these to these religious people and to these people around and said, beware of these people. They were like ravenous wolves. They may look like one thing on the outside, but inside, they're not who they say they are. And he goes on and he says this. He says, and this is verse 21, he says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of the Father who is in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name? And do many mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. I don't know, but I've read that multiple times, and it kind of just sends like this cold chill up my spine that there are going to be people who, when they face the living God, say, God, I went to church. I taught a life group class. I got up and spoke. I prayed before dinner. I did some of these things. Aren't I good enough to get into heaven? And God's going to look at them and say, depart from me. I never knew you. Why? Because they're fakers. They show up at church, or they show up at events, they show up at FCAs, and they say the right things, they do the right things, but they've never tasted the goodness of Jesus. Now, there is a hobby that I'm fully committed into right now. I have a lot of different hobbies, and they change throughout the year depending on the weather and the climate, all that kind of stuff. And so right now, summertime, my favorite time of year, and I love to be out on the beach. It's one of my favorite things. Like when I moved here, almost 10 years ago, I was so excited that we lived within driving distance of the beach. And so ever since I was little, I liked to boogie board. Now, it wasn't until late high school that I had an opportunity to try surfing, and I only did it like once or twice, but it was like a hook, like it grabbed me. And so the past year and a half, I got a surfboard, and so we hit some waves, and we go out there quite often surfing. I'm still not that good, but I really like it. Hopefully I'm getting a little better. But I will go back to when I was in elementary school. I would tell people that I would surf. Now, I knew the lingo. I knew to tell them like the timing of the swells and how the wind was coming, if it was a good day, if it was a glassy day, if it was flat. I could use all the surfing lingo. I could go out there and act like I know what I'm doing. I could hold a board, but I never had surfed. And if you would have talked to me, you would have thought I'd surfed all the time by the things of the knowledge I knew, but I'd never experienced it. I never experienced paddling out to the ocean, waiting for the right wave, paddling, hopping up on a board, and riding it. For me, it's just like a few seconds because I'm not that good. But to get to ride a wave, I was a fake. I was a fraud. Like, I wasn't a real surfer. I was just the one who knew the information. We do that with all kinds of things, but the tragedy is people do that with their own life. That they would say that, hey, I go to church, I'm a Christian, I've done all the right things, I don't cuss, I don't do the bad things, but all the while they've never experienced who Jesus was. What a tragedy to be a faker, to be one who hangs with a certain crowd and tries to fit in, but they've never committed their lives, they've never given everything over to Jesus. And that's a faker. And we've talked about a poser. Now you see a faker, one who would say they know everything, but they've never tasted the goodness of Jesus. And tomorrow we're going to learn about makers, those who are following Jesus and they continue to make disciples. So I challenge you. I would ask you to search yourself, to search your life, to see where you stand. Are you a fraud? Are you a fake? And if so, why not make today the day that you give your life to Christ? It's as simple as saying, Jesus, I need you. Forgive me my sins and allow me to follow you all the days of my life. Hey, if that's you, man, I would be so excited to hear from you. Again, you can comment below. This is also a YouTube link, so you can subscribe to what's going on. But man, get in touch with us and let us know your decision to follow Christ so we can follow up with you. Hey, I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay tuned. Right after this, I'll probably air another announcement about our Monday nights. We're going to meet this Monday night, July 13th, together for LWSM United. We want you to be a part of that. You'll see another video with more information. But I love you guys. See you tomorrow afternoon at 3. Peace out.